Last year, my ex-husband had an affair with my younger sister, who is 15 years younger than me, and ridiculed me at 45 and thrust a divorce paper in my face before remarrying her. While I was out on a date with my new 30-year-old boyfriend, we ran into them. I thought you'd be sulking alone, but it looks like you've snagged a new man, huh? Good for you. But I never thought he'd be such a young one. My ex-husband sneered, looking at my boyfriend. Do you have a thing for older women? Can't believe you can walk around with such an old hag. My boyfriend, unfazed and not angry, simply replied, That's right. I might actually prefer older women. But you two know nothing. Upon hearing the truth revealed by my boyfriend, both my ex-husband and my sister turned pale. My name is Susan Harrison. I'm a 45-year-old part-time housewife with a hobby of writing novels. I have even considered becoming a professional writer, and have submitted my work to publishers, but my husband of the same age, Andrew, ridicules this dream, saying, No way. Someone as old as you debuting now, that's a joke. Despite hardly ever reading, he once found and read an unfinished draft of mine, mocking it as what's this cliché stuff? You have no talent. Seriously, this is garbage. This crushed my confidence completely. Still, I couldn't give up the desire to have someone read my stories, so without telling Andrew, I started publishing them on a blog. It brings me great joy whenever I receive a comment. Andrew tends to ridicule me about various things. I have a younger sister named Mandy, who is 15 years younger than me. Andrew often praises her, saying, Young girls are great, aren't they? Mandy still looks like she's in her 20s even though she's 30, so cute, while belittling me. You used to be beautiful too, but now you're just an old hag. You even look like you're in your 50s. And Susan and Mandy, you look more like mother and daughter rather than sisters. Mandy herself enjoys the attention she gets by being compared favorably, dressing provocatively, and making sure to touch Andrew flirtatiously when they meet. Despite my warnings, she mocks me, saying, I didn't mean anything by it, but you're scary. And just because you are old and can't dress like this, don't be jealous of younger girls. Now Mandy is 30, starting to lose the edge of being the young woman. Perhaps that's why she enjoys the superiority she feels when called young and compared to me, who is 15 years her senior. I have been relieving the stress of those days by writing novels. One day, I received an email through the address I had posted on my blog. I couldn't stand it any longer and had to send you an email. I am a huge fan of your novels. I was completely engrossed in your latest work. On my blog, I simply go by Susan because I couldn't think of a good pseudonym. The person, who called himself Howard in the email, seemed passionate about my writing. I was delighted and sent back a thank you email. Subsequently, I started corresponding with Howard. He is indeed a man. However, our discussions and values align well, making our exchanges enjoyable. Howard appears to have read all the novels I published on my blog. His favorite, surprisingly, is the first novel I ever posted. I consider it flawed, but Howard disagrees. The protagonist of that novel carries the trauma of being bullied in the past. I was also bullied and still carry that trauma. I could really empathize with that protagonist. It was during this time that Andrew's affair with Mandy came to light. That day, having finished my part-time job earlier than usual, I returned home and witnessed a shocking scene. There were Andrew and Mandy in the living room, naked and embracing each other. What are you doing? You two have betrayed me. What are you thinking? Going after your wife's sister and your sister's husband. As I erupted in anger, Andrew and Mandy were initially flustered. But soon they started to defiantly justify themselves. Of course, younger Mandy is better than an old woman like you. Being attracted to younger women is just a man's instinct. Besides, you're too old to even have kids. Andrew laughed as he spoke. Despite never having expressed a desire for children throughout our long marriage, and hardly ever engaging in attempts to conceive. That's right. It's your fault, old Susan, for not being able to satisfy Andrew. He is working hard but not getting any relief, so I just comforted poor Andrew. That's why I'm remarrying Mandy. Sign this quickly, you old hag. Saying that, Andrew thrust the divorce papers at me, already signed by him. Filled with sadness from their betrayal and wounded as a woman, I no longer had the energy to resist. I'll give you the house in the divorce settlement. By now. You better start looking for a new man. Though I doubt there's anyone weird enough to like an old hag like you. With my signed divorce papers in hand, Andrew and Mandy left the house, laughing. Later, Andrew sent a message saying, I paid the alimony for you. I've been saving up for this, and indeed, $60,000 had been transferred to my account. This should keep me, a part-time housewife, going for a while. However, I was too shocked to feel like doing anything, even writing novels. During this time, I received an email from Howard. Would you like to meet? Just once, I'd like to see you. Normally, I wouldn't consider meeting a man I knew from the internet. But given the shock I was under, I wasn't as wary of Howard. Thinking nothing worse could happen, I decided to meet him for a change of scenery. By coincidence, Howard and I lived in neighboring states. So we decided to meet at a cafe halfway between us. As I approached the meeting place, a man dressed as described in his email greeted me. Recognizing me from my description. Excuse me, are you Susan? Yes, I'm Susan. You're Howard, right? Yes. Excuse me, but you're younger than I expected. Howard was a young and handsome man, around 30 years old. His intelligent writing and our matched conversations had led me to assume he was about my age. Suddenly, I felt embarrassed about my own age, especially after everything with Andrew. I wondered if Howard might be disappointed meeting someone as old as me. Thank you. I'm actually 29. Susan, you are much more beautiful than I imagined. This is quite embarrassing. Caught off guard by his words, I blushed. Oh, that's not true at all. I'm just a 45-year-old woman. 45 years old. You look like you're in your 30s. So young. No, not really. Despite my protests, having been hurt by Andrew and Mandy, I genuinely felt pleased. Standing here chatting is one thing, but let's go into the cafe. Yes. We each ordered coffee and chatted. Initially concerned about our age difference, I soon found that talking with Howard was enjoyable and the concern quickly faded. The conversation was so fulfilling that it made me forget the recent sad events. Howard, seemingly 29, had a maturity that belied his age, seeming older than Mandy. Howard was his real name, as he couldn't think of a good handle name either. My real name is Susan too. I couldn't think of a good handle name either. Then we are the same, aren't we? We chuckled together. During our conversation, Howard suggested that I submit my novel to a newcomers award at a publishing house. It would be a waste to let this talent go unused. Such talent, really. My husband mocked me, saying I had no talent and could never be a novelist. I mean, my ex-husband, actually. We've separated recently. That's just proof of your ex-husband's lack of discernment. I've read many books, but I've never encountered the novels as touching as yours. You definitely have talent. Let's debut and show your ex-husband what you can do. Then, once I finish my new novel, I'll submit it instead of posting it on my blog. I'm looking forward to reading it in book form. It's not certain I'll win an award yet. After returning home, I finally tackled the new novel that had been stalled since Andrew's affair came to light. Having a goal to submit it drove my writing forward, and I quickly completed it. After revising it, I submitted it to a major publishing house's Newcomer Award. I struggled with choosing a pen name but ended up using my real name, thinking it was a long shot anyway. As it turned out, my novel won the top prize and was highly praised by the publishing house. When I told Howard, he was as thrilled as if it were his own success. The publication was quickly decided. And when I told the editor that I had been writing novels on a blog and shared the blog's name, the editor read it and suggested we publish that too. The book was published quickly and became a huge hit immediately. Debuting at 45, it seemed to inspire people that it's never too late to start something. Talks of a movie adaptation began. And everything was going incredibly well, like a dream. During this time, Howard confessed his feelings after we had met several times. I initially thought he was joking, but his eyes were serious. I'm such an old woman, you know? I'm 16 years older than you. Plus, I'm divorced. That doesn't matter at all. You should think it over. You're handsome and could date much younger women. Just like my ex-husband did. He chose my sister, who is 15 years younger, because he thought I was too old. I inadvertently brought up Andrew. At that moment, Howard hugged me tightly. I'm not like your terrible ex-husband. I will definitely make you happy. My face turned red, and I couldn't contain my excitement. Howard quickly stepped back. I'm sorry. If you don't like me, I'll give up. That's not it at all. Well then, let's start dating, just to try it out. Really? Yes. Let's look forward to what's ahead. With that, Howard and I began dating. Though initially just a trial, as our relationship developed, the age difference ceased to matter. A year and a few months after my divorce from Andrew, Howard and I were arm in arm when we suddenly heard a voice. Hey, Susan, long time no see. Susan. How have you been? It was Andrew and Mandy, the last two people I wanted to encounter. I grimaced upon seeing them. Look, Susan. I'm pregnant with Andrew's child, Mandy said, flaunting her swollen belly. Seriously, it was a good thing I divorced you. Old hag can't get pregnant. But I thought you'd be moping around alone. Yet here you are, snagged a new guy, huh? Good for you. But wow, I didn't expect him to be so young. Hey, he's quite a catch. Not as much as Andrew, but good job, Susan. Mandy rudely scrutinized Howard, appraising him as if he were an item. How did you manage to snag such a young man? Really, you look more like his mother than his girlfriend. Andrew turned to Howard, sneering. Do you like older women? I can't believe you'd walk around with such an old hag. Aren't you embarrassed? Howard, unruffled and calm, replied. Maybe I do prefer older women. But you two know nothing. Know nothing about what? About her. Did you really not know? Susan's novel is a huge hit, and she's a best-selling author right now. Look, that bookstore over there is even prominently displaying her books. Didn't you know her pen name is her real name? Through the glass doors of the bookstore, Andrew and Mandy saw stacks of my books. Sure, it says Susan Brown, but is it really you? Could it just be someone with the same name? Nope. She's also been appearing in the media, known for her beauty. She's a bit of a celebrity now. Someone like her isn't embarrassed, but proud. We had no idea. We don't really care about books. I knew that well. Andrew and Mandy rarely read anything, especially not novels. Yet Andrew always felt the need to criticize my efforts. Despite knowing nothing about literature. That's probably why he felt qualified to disparage my novels without understanding them. Now I'm earning more through royalties than you, Andrew. Also, I'm inheriting the entire estate from our parents. What? All the inheritance is going to you? What about me? Mandy, you were disowned by our parents. That's only fair. After all, you stole my husband. That's too harsh. I'm their real daughter too. No, Mandy. You are not our parents' daughter. What? You're not my sister. Not just disowned, but literally, you have no blood relation to us. What do you mean? As Mandy, or rather, my former sister, looked confused, I revealed the truth about her origins. Our mother used to be a high school teacher. Mandy, you are her student's child. This student was a troubled person, engaged in compensated dating out of greed. Mom, idealistic about her role as a teacher, tried to keep her from being expelled and reform her, but it was all in vain. After graduating, the student had a baby fathered by an unknown man. Left the baby with our mother and disappeared. I was 15 then and remember the baby suddenly appearing. Our parents decided that the child was innocent and deserved to be raised properly. So they adopted you as my sister, Mandy. No way. But maybe because you inherited your biological mother's traits. You've always been a problem child. Always bullying others, causing trouble, and no amount of discipline seemed to work. I saw how our mother apologized and cried secretly because of you. And just when you seemed to settle down as an adult, you stole my husband. It's understandable why they cut ties. Mom apologized to me. She regretted taking you in. We decided we'd go back to being a family of 3, considering you an outsider. What? I thought I was part of the real family. Tears welled up in Mandy's eyes as her face contorted. Then why betray your family if you thought that? Covering her face as if she were the victim, Mandy began to cry. Andrew hugged her shoulders and yelled, "Hey! Don't make Mandy cry. It's okay, Mandy. Now I'm your family. With me, Mandy, and our child will be a true blood-related family." Andrew. Mandy looked at Andrew with eyes full of admiration. Howard, however, gave them a cold stare. You still don't know anything about this woman. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Excuse me. I work as a detective, and I used my skills to investigate Mandy personally. What? Why are you snooping around? That's creepy and awful. See? You probably like Mandy more than this old hag after all. Of course. Any man would prefer younger women over an old hag. No. I was investigating for revenge. Howard's eyes were filled with hatred towards Mandy. Revenge? What are you talking about? I haven't done anything to you. You've forgotten me, Mandy? What are you talking about? I am Howard Thompson from high school, the one who was in the same band. Wait, really? You're Howard Thompson. You mean that nerdy Howard is you? No way. Your personality hasn't changed, Mandy. Back then, I wore thick glasses. It turns out that Mandy and Howard were senior and junior at the same school. In the same club. It's a small world. Back then, I was the only boy in the band and was bullied and eventually forced to quit. The bullying spread to the classroom. And I stopped going to school and had to transfer. I still have trauma from it, and I never forgot you were the leader of the bullies. So, I've been waiting for a chance for revenge. Mandy, you were a problem child even when you were young. But to do such terrible things even in high school. But. Mandy looked uncomfortable and avoided eye contact. Hey, what? Is that what I don't know about her? That's ridiculous. Don't hang on to some childish bullying. How pathetic. Do you think I'd fall out of love with Mandy over something like that? Seeing Andrew laugh it off, Mandy began to mock Howard too. Yeah, right. It was just youthful foolishness. That's why you're creepy, hanging on to it. Even if you look better now, you're still the same creepy guy inside. Yeah, that's why you got bullied. Both wore ugly sneers, mocking Howard. Birds of a feather. I wonder what they would say if their child grows up and gets bullied. Howard sighed deeply and ignored them, continuing. Mandy, I came across your public account on social media. It was easy to identify your private account. Despite being married, you were engaging in relationships for money. And even joked on her private account about not knowing who the father of her baby is. I've been collecting this information, hoping to use it for revenge someday. The time has finally come to inform the foolish man who chose Mandy over Susan. It seems I still didn't know everything about my former sister. I was beyond angry and dumbfounded. Mandy, you. From bullying to seeking sugar daddies, you've been up to no good. Just like your real mother. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Mandy went pale. Andrew stepped in. Don't make stuff up. You can't break us apart. Howard expressionlessly held up several photos to Andrew. They showed Mandy entering a hotel with multiple partners. It was easy to identify the hotel and stake it out. Andrew snatched the photos and stared at them intently. No way. That's a lie. He muttered, then suddenly grabbed Mandy by the collar. Hey, Mandy. What's this about? Whose child is it really? I don't know. It's yours, Andrew. Please believe me. As the two began to argue, we left them behind. Howard, I'm really sorry. What for? Even though we're not related by blood, it's awful what my sister has done. I should have stopped her from doing such things if I had known. When Mandy was in high school, I had already left home. Still, I blame myself for not being able to stop her. Because of that, Howard has suffered a lot. Don't apologize. You're not at fault, Susan. Rather, you're also a victim of her actions. We're both victims. And thanks to you, I was able to take my revenge. Howard. By the way, I didn't approach you for revenge. I realized the connection later, but it was all coincidental. I should have told you about my past with Mandy, I'm sorry. My feelings for you are genuine, Susan. Yeah, I know. No one could write such passionate reviews just as an act. I've had a fear of women because of my bullying in school. Especially women my own age. I just couldn't connect with them anymore. But with you, Susan, I could open my heart. Your novels have also saved me. Thanks to you, my distrust of women has healed significantly. So, I am really grateful. I haven't done much. But if I could have provided even a little solace for Howard, that makes me happy. Later, after Andrew forced reluctant Mandy to undergo a prenatal paternity test. It turned out the child wasn't his. Consequently, Andrew divorced Mandy, becoming twice divorced. I can't raise a child alone. And now I have to pay alimony to Andrew. I can't even reach our parents, and no one was at the family home when I visited. I don't know where they are now. I need their help with their grandchild. It's such a shame, considering your age makes it impossible for you to have children. This would have been their only grandchild. Of course, no one was at the family home. My parents and I had moved out to ensure Mandy couldn't find us. They've said they don't care what would happen to Mandy from now on. Obviously, neither do I. What grandchild? A child of a former daughter who has been disowned and has no blood ties is hardly a grandchild to my parents. And even now, she doesn't forget to try and one-up me. Please, Susan, you have money. Help me. If not, at least persuade our parents. Tell me where they are. We're family, aren't we? There's supposed to be some familial affection, right? Despite Mandy's pleas for help, I responded. Who are you? I don't have a sister. I've always been an only child. And then I blocked her number. Andrew contacted me next. Even though I divorced Mandy, being twice divorced now means I can't find a woman. Plus, the fact that I was a famous author's ex-husband, and that I cheated with and remarried my wife's sister has spread everywhere, causing a social media uproar. Nowadays, wherever I go, people whisper. I'm gossiped about at work and shunned by acquaintances. Naturally, no women want to be near me. Hey Susan, what did you do? All I did was share about being betrayed by my ex-husband and sister in a magazine interview and on social media. I didn't disclose your personal information, but since I operate under my real name, it wasn't hard for people to figure out who you were. Damn it. This means I can't find a woman in the future. It's your fault. Take responsibility and remarry me. Excuse me? Yeah, that's right. If we got back together, it would restore my reputation. Surely you'd be happy to have me back. No, thank you. I have a wonderful person by my side now. That young guy, right? Society won't stay silent about a marriage with such an age gap. That's not true. I've disclosed our age difference, but my fans are very supportive. Think it over. I can't believe that young man can make you happy. He's been holding on to a grudge from being bullied in school and researching it obsessively. Such a petty, sinister man. He's just a kid. You need a mature, experienced man. I laughed dismissively. A mature, experienced man? Who are you referring to? That's hilarious. You couldn't control your lower half, got lured by a young body, and easily cheated, like a monkey. What? A monkey? Oh, sorry. That was too rude to the monkeys. At least Howard is far more mature and grown-up than you. Howard and I often discuss complex literature and philosophy, something I could never do with Andrew. I ignored Andrew's ranting and hung up, blocking his number. Later, Andrew couldn't stand the rumors at work and quit his job, facing difficulties finding a new one due to the rumors. Mandy tried to contact the potential father of her child involved in her sugar dating, but he soon cut off all contact. Ultimately, she gave birth alone and roamed around trying to push the baby onto our parents. Understandably, they have no intention of taking the baby. They adopted Mandy thinking a child shouldn't be blamed for their origins, but were repaid with betrayal. Plus, they are too old to raise a child now. Initially, Mandy resolved to raise the child alone, but like Andrew, She was exposed to public rumors and ended up in a neurotic state, eventually placing the baby in a facility. I sincerely hope that this child does not walk the same path as its mother. I revised and published the novels I used to post on my blog, each becoming a major hit. Film and television adaptations were also secured, and everything was going smoothly. Howard proposed during this time. Are you sure? I'm 16 years your senior. At this point, age doesn't matter. But I can't have children because of my age. That makes it even less of an issue. Actually, I'm sterile due to an illness I had as a child. Really? So, we can't have children either way. You don't need to worry about anything. If I can be with the person I love, that's all that matters. Thank you, Howard. Will you marry me? Yes, of course. Let's be happy together. I already am. Since we're going to be married, maybe it's time to drop the formalities? Oh, yeah. Both our parents are delighted about our engagement. I look forward to nurturing our happiness with Howard.